Fuel is the official podcast of the 434th Air Refueling Wing. Join us for Airman connections, leadership insights, mentorship, and happenings mixed with some fun and humor. Please understand that the views expressed in this podcast are not necessarily the views of the U.S. Air Force nor the Air Force Reserve, and no endorsement of any person or business is ever intended.
Welcome to the March 22 edition of Fuel Podcast. I'm your host, Chief Nathan Parks. I'm the Command Chief here, and as always with me is Tech Sgt. Josh, the Dream Weaver. Josh, man, it seems like we haven't seen each other for a couple weeks.
Well, that's because you keep leaving.
Yeah, so
I imagine you're going places with warmer weather.
Yeah, so California and Texas.
Yep.
So went out there, did a couple TDYs, went one with Colonel Pemberton, and then went out to do the 4th Air Force Awards Board out in San Antonio. Was a lot of fun getting to see, some of our peers and stuff like that. And then just such an honor to be able to represent Grissom and the airmen of Grissom on what we've done and to sing their praises. Man, that's the good part of this job, right? Is getting to recognize people when they're doing hard work. I saw the stuff that you guys publish, great stuff on our airmen NCO and senior NCO, great pictures there, great articles. Like we just got no shortage of great people doing great things. So today we get to talk with Tech Sgt. Jordi Saunders, he's our resident development and training flight coordinator. And so he takes our airmen that are kind of in pre-airman stage, the civilian stage, and he takes them and gets them trained up, get them ready for basic training, and then ships them off. And hopefully we get even more of a polished product back. And we do. I got to go visit a basic training graduation last week and saw 3 of our airmen from Grissom graduate. And I will tell you, it just listen to them cite the Airman's Creed, do the oath, and just all of those pieces, and seeing the difference in them in 7 weeks is pretty amazing. So if you haven't got to do that, talk about that with your leadership team. If you haven't been down there in a few years, talk about that. Maybe that's a great place for you to spend some annual tour or something like that to kind of reignite that where you once were, and also to look at the product that they're putting out. It's a phenomenal product. What we do with it, if we're not happy with the NCOs that we have, it's the product that we've created, because they're producing a great product down there. And so we'll talk about that with Jordi. We're going to talk about some first generation airmen, like first generation to the United States, and why they serve. Jordi's one of them himself, and why he serves. We'll talk about what our plans are versus what we actually do, and those seem to change a lot. We hear that a lot through the different pieces or different interviews that we've got to do. But I want to take a minute and say this UTA is super jam-packed, lots of action going on. We should have a lot of opportunities for you. And I would encourage you to go out to some of these. We have a change of command, a group change of command, this UTA, a great opportunity to get out and support another group outside of yours, or support the group that you're in. We have a chief promotion. Chief Estes is promoting an amazing individual herself, and just I always love to see when just amazing people that just happen to be airmen, and she's earned that promotion. We have the wing commander's call, which as always, will provide you some training and give you some guidance and stuff. And then we also have a CCAF graduation. So get out, support those events, support those peers and everything. But I also want you to take a look this UTA at all the current events that are going on, and there's a lot of them in a lot of different areas. And so take a look at all of those. And as we discuss this with Jordi today, I also want you to look at is why are you here? Like, what's your role here? And so this UTA, I really don't leave this UTA without fully realizing, what is my role in all of this that's going on around me? And how do I get ready for the opportunities that are about to present themselves in front of me? How am I ready for whatever may come? So without any more talk, or I guess a lot more talk, we're going to get right into the interview with Tech Sgt. Jordi Saunders. Welcome to the March edition of the Fuel Podcast. This is kind of the BBC edition, as we just talked about. So we want to welcome Tech Sgt. Jordi Saunders. So
thanks so much. It's great to be here, Chief.
Yeah, welcome all the way. We called you up here all the way from downstairs.
Absolutely,
so
it's
long travel. I'm glad you made it.
Two flights of stairs, and as long as I don't have to leave the building in this weather, I'm pretty happy. So
is this similar to weather from? I guess we'll jump right into it. Where you're from, like originally?
I'd probably say this is pretty close. So I'm from England, from Milton Keynes, just northwest of London, and over there we kind of.
Josh thought that was a Texas accent that you had.
That's real down south.
Yeah, he's like, is he from Texas? I said,
I am cultured.
Yeah, you are.
Over there we pretty much have 2 seasons. We have a nice summer, and then we just rain the rest of the year. We don't really get that much snow. We don't really get a spring and a fall as much, or an autumn.
A little more similar to like Washington.
Yeah,
like
it's
Seattle,
a lot of rain, especially this time of year. So I just go back in the summer usually if I'm going to be going back there. So
do you like the rainy season?
Yeah, not so much. I like winter here in the States. I love to ski. I love to go snowmobiling and stuff like that. But I tell you, when you're back over there, it's just a few months of just grey and nothing. So I complain about the snow all the time, but I'd rather have snow than just constant rain. So because at least you can do some stuff in it. So
moved here from England at what age?
So moved here when I was about 10 years old. So moved here on April Fool's Day, 2005.
Yeah. So how was that a worst gag ever? Like first,
kind of was but by the time we got to the airport, I'm like, this is gag is going on a little bit too long here. Like, come on,
good at that.
Tell me it's we're going back. But no, it was a weird thing. We were supposed to be in America for like maybe 3 to 5 years. That was all it was going to be. And then April Fool's Day will be 17 years that I've been here now. So it's been a great 17 years.
Well, speaking of April Fools, we could probably get this off off right now is don't look directly at my mustache because it can distract you from what you're saying or anything like that. Like don't stare into it. People have gotten lost in conversation.
Usually I'm getting lost in your eyes, but this time it's getting lost in the forest below the nose. Yeah,
that's right. So I felt like that was like a public service announcement. Like we're you don't stare directly at it. All right. So it's pretty ridiculous. So moved here when you were about 10.
Yeah.
Your dad's job brought you here, right?
Yeah, my dad's job was over, and it was funny. We knew we were coming to America like a year or 2 years in advance of when we were actually coming over, but we didn't know exactly where in America we were going to go. There were 2 places we could go. One was LaPorte, Indiana, which is where we ended up moving to. And the other one was San Diego, California.
Yeah, San Diego sucks, so that's good.
We got the news that we were going to LaPorte, Indiana, and I remember, I was only like 10, but we got out the globe back then because we didn't really have the computer and whatnot. So we got out the big map and was like, yeah, well, that's Chicago, and I've kind of heard of Chicago before. Yeah. And it's like, what's this?
Better heard of Chicago, the Bulls in the 90s.
Indiana. Like,
Indiana.
Yeah. But yeah, it's been it's weird that it's been 17 years now. I try to go back every year when I can. It was a little bit difficult with COVID, but still got a lot of family over there. So it's great.
So you say weird, like, do you still call that home? Because you've lived here now.
It's hard. I've lived here for longer. Yeah. But, I think because
almost twice as long.
Almost twice. Yeah, I've never thought of it like that. But because of the accent, I think most people associate me
with Australia.
With England, with Australia, right?
Yeah. Or Texas.
Or Texas, yeah.
I mean, this is without going down too long of a tangent. There's this interesting concept I kind of learned about in college called third culture kids, and those are kids who grow up in one culture inside the home and another culture outside the home. So if you walk into my house and meet my mum and that, it's like you've never left England. She keeps everything. It's English food. It's English paintings on the wall. It's BBC Radio 2 just blaring constantly out there. And then I go to school and I'm suddenly I guess the foreigner, but the strange English kid surrounded by that. And so being kind of when I was looking into this third culture kid phenomenon that a lot of these kids have, there's certain traits that go along with that, and part of it is a love to travel, which is me hammer hitting the nail there, and actually joining the military is something that you find a lot of is a higher proportion of third culture kids than the general population join the military.
Yeah, so I guess we talk about that. So what you do here on base is you work for the development and training flight.
Yeah,
and so all of our individuals that are waiting to go to basic training that have enlisted, but waiting to go to basic training, they come to you and you may have them for a month, or you may have them for
Absolutely,
a year.
Yeah.
And so
recently, with the budget constraints, there've been a few that have gone on almost 18 months with us, but we've got them out the door. So
we've been told to call them strategic pauses in budget.
Yeah, we'll take that. We'll take that.
Just so we're staying in line. If anybody's listening to this, it's a strategic pause.
These are not the views of the United States Air Force.
Yeah. So,
but we've got an absolutely fantastic group of trainees. You find a lot of the people on base call them kids. They say, "Oh, you got all the kids with you, don't you?" And but we've got such a diverse group. We've got from ages 17 through 39. We've got people who are from 5 different continents, or maybe first generation, or they moved here themselves. We've got people who speak everything from Russian to Spanish to French to, or then we've got people who have born and raised in Indiana, have never left, and I've taken them down to the airport, and they're like, "So what do I do in an airport? Like, how do I get on a plane and that?"
Yeah, that was crazy. The last UTA, I got to go over and talk, and I asked them, any of them have never flown on a plane, and there was a girl in the front that she was like, I've never flown on a plane, and then it's like you get again, it's. That we just sent a guy to basic. He was first generation from China, and wanting to serve here. And we've got, I think, a first generation Iraqi. Yeah,
and that's really cool. Speaking to her and her family and that. So it's really, really the really cool thing to see at the moment is just the level of diversity and just the different backgrounds that are coming into the Air Force now, and trying to kind of mesh all those together, and you see them kind of forming a group, and then you have some of them leaving, but they're going to come back. You're going to see them the next time you're going to see them will be in uniform, and
it's totally different, thing. Right? Because you see this first generation like you, and I want to get into this is, I grew up in middle Missouri, right, and in the country, and my dad was in the Air Force, and his brothers were all in the military. My uncle is a retired maintenance master sergeant, and we just always envied that, and so when I said I was going in the military instead of going to college, it wasn't that big a stretch, right? My grandfathers had been in, my uncles had been in, but to be a first generation, what would make you want to serve in this?
So it's something that I don't talk about a whole lot, at least not with the trainees and that. But we talk about why they're joining. Right, the first thing we ask them is why they're joining, and occasionally, maybe after hours something, they'll say, "Okay, why did I come in?" And for me, I joined for the worst reasons. For me, it was I wanted to get out of the house. I just wanted money for college. I didn't particularly care about the serving aspect of it. I just wanted to get out. I wanted to change things about myself that I thought the military was going to change for me, but. So for me, it was, okay, I'm going to go do 6 years. I'm going to bleed the government dry for what I can. And then over those 6 years, over the air report and over the course of a deployment out to Iraq, and after meeting all the people I've met, I've grown to love it. And I just signed up for another 6 years. So it came from a really bad place for me. It's kind of one of my lowest moments. I was bad grades in high school, felt like I couldn't get into college anyway. And now I can't believe it's been 8 years later. I've got my degree, and I've traveled the world. I've been over to Europe 5 times with the military now. And it's just couldn't have been a bigger shift in my thinking when it came to the military.
And you say that's all the wrong reasons, right? Is you went in for those, but
same reason I went in.
Right. Guess what? Yeah. Same reason I went in, right? And so I always wanted to serve. I wanted to be a police officer, and you couldn't do that until you were 21. And so I was like, I'll just go do this and get some benefits and be good on the other side. And I think we talked to our airmen about that. There is a generation that came in around that 2001 September 11th stuff that were the current events. And I'm sure there's people now that are deeply into current events. That's like, I'll be danged if we're going to fight Russia without me there, or, without China, without me there. And so I'm sure there's those, but I think now you look at that though, and is that the same reason why you signed up for another?
No. For now, it's that I've really grown to love what I do. When I heard that this position was opening with development and training flight, I thought back to my first time stepping foot on this base was when I was a trainee in development and training flight with retired Chief Jones. I don't know if either of you knew her, but fantastic retired chief now. And I remember that first UTA sitting in there, and I was like, just tell me how much money I'm getting for college. Tell me how much I'm going to be making here. And then I think we had Master Sergeant Hoagland or something come in at the time, and he's like, so yeah, we're going to train you how to kill people, and we're going to train you on how to what to do when you're over in Iraq and you're being mortared and that. And I'm like, oh shoot, I forgot that I've joined the military here. It's, so it was a real shock, kind of at first to me, but then over the years that I've been in, it's just it's something I've become passionate about. And
so you did a deployment a year ago or 2 years ago almost?
I got back about a year ago.
Okay. And do you think that changed you, like your perspective and how what drove you?
In good and bad ways.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. So it definitely. We were getting ready to go over there, and myself and Chief Connolly and some of the other people at the airport, we were at field training.
By the way, aerial port, it has a T on the end.
Aeroport, yeah. Like port dog. So, but we were over at in Fort Dix over in New Jersey, and we're doing a field craft, right? And we were having fun. We were shooting each other with simulated weapon with the sim rounds, and, I was driving a Humvee, and I was like, "Oh, this is brilliant! I can't wait to get over there." Not gonna be doing any of this stuff, but it's fun to pretend I'm going to. I'm going to be sitting on a computer all day over there. We got about halfway through that, and Chief Connolly calls us over, and he says, "Hey, just want you to know, you're going to be hearing this in the news, but Camp Taji, the base that you're going to, there were just 3 service members killed there."
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, it was one of those like, "Whoa, that's." I'm going over, I'm going there. I'm going to be replacing these people who aren't coming home. And it's been moments like that and moments where was over in Dover and helping the human remains transfer. And when we had, is it Sanchez?
Corporal Sanchez.
Corporal Sanchez who came through. And it's those moments that put it all into perspective. And whenever you're thinking, why am I here? What's my purpose of wearing this uniform when all I'm doing most of the day is reading through emails and deleting the ones that say it's windy outside.
Yeah.
What am I doing? And it's things like that bring it into perspective.
Yeah, that's so good. And it's hard, I think, sometimes because we sit up there, and I'm guilty of that, right? When I just talked to him last week, the DNTF flight is, I guess the flight doesn't need to be on there. The DNTF individuals talked about that as, hey, you better know why you're here. And I think sometimes I miss the mark on that, on saying it's okay to be here for college benefits. It's okay if that's what brought you here. It's okay. One of the stories I love, and it's hard to capture because those people deserve their privacy, but it's okay if you're here because this is the safest place you've ever been. If you come from an abusive home, or you're in an abusive relationship, or if you're in those things, it's okay if those are things you're here. But when it comes time to, I remember sitting on a bomb shelter over in Afghanistan, and me and there was another tech sergeant. I was a tech sergeant at the time, and then there was a master sergeant, Master Sergeant Ferguson. We were up on top of the bomb shelter. We'd built a little sandbag stair step up there, and had a couple chairs up there, and we were smoking cigars and enjoying the night. And we watched a rocket. I'm like, what is that? And we watched a rocket come in and hit like in our camp area. And it's like, college tuition doesn't matter at that time.
No. Mm-mm.
The benefits, it doesn't matter. But it's a great thing that is it's an extra kind of, it draws you in, right? It keeps you here. It's one of those things because we don't pay real well.
Yeah.
Right. So there better be something else. So as you're going through this, one of the things you've made, and we've got to know each other better and better since, you're one of the hires that I had, and I'm super proud of that. And, but we got to know each other better and become friends and stuff. But one of the things I've noticed by you is you dig into these benefits that are offered to these airmen. And so one, I think, there's stuff that you bring up that me as a Comanche, if I'm like, dang, like either I didn't know about it or I forgot about it.
Well, there's so many of these things that I either didn't know about or I'd been told once but forgot about until I came back into this job, and I'm like, okay, I'm a tech sergeant. I need to be making sure that when an airman or a trainee comes to me and says, hey, I want to know about this. I need to know about this. How do I get help with this? I'm struggling financially. I can't make it up to base. I need to be able to answer those questions. And so it's kind of starting to dig through there, talking a lot to Master Sergeant Tromba, who's the best career advisor in the military.
Yeah, for sure.
She's fantastic.
She is amazing, yeah.
And then, of course, Miss Pennington over in Family Readiness and Sergeant Strimsky over there. And just every time I go over there and think, I kind of started like, okay, tell me everything I need to know. I've got 5 minutes. Tell me everything.
Pretend like I don't know.
Yeah. It's like, and then 3 hours later, and they're still telling me new things and new benefits and that. And I think that's one thing that, if I had to kind of sum down what I try to get across to my trainees before they go to BMT and before they start their Air Force career, is that you can absolutely come to Grissom 1 weekend a month, work from 0700 to 1630, go back into your room, eat a pizza, and as long as you pass your PT test, you're gonna have a decent 6 years. But it's not going to be the career you want it to be. If you don't get out there, if you don't look for those opportunities, those TDYs, those deployments, if you don't take advantage of the schooling opportunities, even if it's as simple as you getting out there and mingling with your fellow airmen outside of hours at Chocks, Taku, at Half Moon down in Kokomo. If you just show up, wake up, go to sleep, you'll get through. You'll have 6 good years, but they're not going to be great years. And if you're not here to get everything you can out of this, then why are you here?
Yeah, those benefits, man. It's we just got that VA hospital that opened up right up the road here, and phenomenal facility. And they talked about that a little bit on how many veterans are in this area, but how few use the facility. And they're getting better at it. But man, I think it's, as I look at myself, as I look at other members that have served and that I've served with, is one thing I feel like we suck at is taking the benefits that we've earned, taking advantage of those things. And, whether it be the extra finance stuff or even just the financial counseling that is free, or the tax preparation.
How have I been in for 8 years, and the first time I had a conversation with Kevin over in Family Readiness Building was like last month. Yeah. How have I let myself do that?
He teaches a course that's like, I think it's Be a Millionaire How to Be a Millionaire with TSP. He teaches that course, and very few people go to it. Like we all are sitting here, and like if you asked any of us, would you? You want to be a millionaire? Yeah. We offer a free course on how to do it. No thanks.
And that's something that as I've been going through this and being exposed to more and more things as part of being the DN2F coordinator, you kind of think of why didn't I do this sooner? Why do so few people take advantage of this? Why do we have briefings from like Military One Source, which is the greatest website on earth, has everything you need?
Free marriage counseling, free counseling, free grief counseling, free
a week today I start a language course with Special Forces operators. That's only for military members, and it's an incredible thing. But why haven't we, why didn't I take advantage of this? And a big part of it is that it's not leadership's fault, because leadership has to focus on the big picture. It's not the airmen's fault, because airmen are coming in kind of blank slate. They're focusing on CDCs and 5 level and stuff like that. It's the stuff that the staffs and the techs, those first level supervisors, need to know, I need to know. And a huge chunk of this that I learned is I went to with Colonel Wiltsey, the flight commander's course, and that was I think it was four days there. So.
It might be 5.
Might be 5.
So we worked on that to get it developed. Colonel Wiltsey's done a phenomenal job with that. So Sergeant Moda and I and Colonel Wiltsey also have talked about this. There used to be a first line supervisor course.
Yeah.
And so we want to revive that here. We want to revive that here with this information, right? And you're right. It takes time. If I talked about all the meetings that I was at just today, it's boring, right? But it's all the stuff that we have to go to make sure that our airmen are taken care of in the big picture here. We're constantly looking for people like you to say, hey, you know what? I'll do a first term supervisor course.
Absolutely.
Like these are the things that I need to do. And that's what I love about you. And it's one of the things I saw when we did the interview is at no point did I think you were just going to do the job. Right. Like at no point did I think, well, he's going to show up and I'm going to have to ask him to do things. And I don't know that I've came to you with anything and you said no, right? And hey, can we do this? Yeah, we'll figure it out. Can we do this? Yeah, we'll figure it out. So
I complained about it, but usually after you've left the room.
Usually I leave the room and I hear you like when I stand outside. Or I hear you scream.
You want me to do what?
Yeah. I hear you. Well, that's part of being in the military too. We get really good at that.
Yeah.
If I say the worst thing we do is take care of benefits, the best thing we do is it's what I like to call sport bitching is we complain about stuff knowing that we're not going to try to fix it or that it can't even be fixed.
Right.
It's just a sport really to us. And we're really good at it. We're probably best in the world. Right. And so just listen to anybody who tries to log on to a program for the first time.
Oh my goodness. It's absolutely
my eval's coming out. This is going to be the biggest, it's the worst thing.
It's going to solve all of our issues. Don't worry.
I guarantee you somebody's going to be open to that and be like, who developed this? The Chinese? But
I think kind of going back to the benefits and stuff like that, it's, I do find that myself and pretty much every single other airman who I've had the privilege of working with, both in the airport, in FSS downstairs, over in maintenance, in services, all of these airmen, they come in, every single one who comes in has joined to be something bigger, to better themselves, to be the best that they can be. And at some point, we forget that. We forget what that next step is. We forget to move forward.
Help us forget that, right?
Yeah.
And I got a blues inspection.
Yeah.
And so then we're like, and that's the thing is like, we get to wear this uniform, right? Less than 1% of the population will ever wear this uniform. We get to wear it. And then if you were to like, all right, March UTA, we're doing a mandatory blues inspection of the uniform just to make sure you have no repercussions. You imagine the amount of complaining?
Oh my goodness, yeah.
We would become a hotspot of social media activity, right?
Absolutely.
And so it's easy to forget that, I think.
It's easy to forget the purpose. Why are we here? Yeah. And you have people who have been here for probably 10 years who have never even stepped foot on one of our KC-135s. And you think, and then you ask them, why are you here on a weekend? And is it to better yourselves? Is it to serve your country? Is it to get those planes flying? And they're like, well, I know I've got to do this CVT on emergency management or something like that,
right.
Which of course you have to do those as well. But I think one of the things that I try to impart on these trainees is always keep the bigger picture in mind. And the younger you are, the harder it is to see that bigger picture sometimes. Mm-hmm. But when you're kind of feeling like, what am I doing here? Why am I doing this? Take a step back. Find a supervisor, find a mentor outside of your unit, and make a plan. Find the reason that you're here, because you're supposed to be here. Yeah. It costs $20,000 to put a trainee through basic training in Tech Sgt today.
Yeah.
We want you here.
We put 6 of them a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
At one time.
Yeah. We want you here. We want you to stay. Find the resources. Go find Sergeant Tromba. Go find your first sergeant. Go find me. Find yourself, Chief. Find that reason that you joined and refine that again.
I think, and sometimes that is, I don't like my job, right? I think sometimes we get stuck in this. We're just stuck in this job, and we can't. I don't like my job, so I'm not gonna reenlist. And there's so many opportunities out there. There's so many things out there, from special duties all the way to, career field changes, and
how many career fields have you been in now, Chief?
What did we figure that the other day? I'm in a load master. I was a 1 Charlie. I was a sensor operator. I was a sensor operator instructor at the schoolhouse. Then I was a 9 Golf, a group chief, which really took away my sensor operator skills if I had any. And then, and now a command chief, which, really you learn about all of the career fields. And so, I love though that you get to find their stories, right? And it's, a lot of times when we get somebody new, we're just ready to tell them all about what they need to do to be successful. And if some of those people stopped, like I would bet if you're listening to this and in the podcast, all 5 of you or however many listen, right?
You're gonna
whoa, hold
there
on.
are a whole bunch of trainees who are definitely going to listen to this one because they're going to be on the test. So
that's right.
make sure you pay attention.
I feel as though it's at least in the hundreds. Actually, I know because I can see numbers.
What's our highest number was 4 something or something? Yeah.
No, it was in the 500s, and it was obviously. Well,
Don't tell me that. It's going to make me nervous now because
I promise you, you're not getting to 500. You cannot compete with the ghost guy. So
see, that's it.
We're all about the truth here, or ghost. One of the two. It's so we rush into this. Hey, let me tell you all the things you need to do your CDCs, and hey, you haven't got your flu shot yet. Get over this, and all those things are important. But getting to know someone, and the people that are listening, if you get to know, I bet there's a first generation U.S. citizen in the area. I mean, I could think of 2 in like CE. I could think of one or 2 in FSS.
At one point, there were 5 of us in the airport who were not even first generation. First generation means you're born here. But
so talk about that. So most people don't realize, and I didn't realize this either. If you're not a U.S. citizen, you can still serve in the Air Force, right, or in the services. But in the Air Force, you're only allowed to do certain jobs. Right?
Yeah. So I remember this was again. I was 17 back in high school, and again, I was looking for a way to get out of LaPorte, Indiana, and get out of my parents' house, and I just whatever it's going to take. Let me take this ASVAB.
If his parents are listening, he really does speak highly of you and loves you. This is not anything against your parents.
But yeah, I was like, so I did okay on the ASVAB, and was contacted by an Army recruiter. I was like, yeah, go away. And then contacted by the Air Force recruiter. He's like, yeah, so you can. What job do you want? Your score's decent enough that you can do at least some jobs. And I was like, yeah, I was kind of thinking something in maintenance or in Intel. I love languages and stuff like that. And then he hears my voice. And he says,
he said, Texas. Is that Texas?
Yeah. So just before we're going further, are you a US citizen? I'm like, well, no, not. I'm a permanent resident. I mean, don't deport me. I'm here. I'm here. I was like, right, well, that's fantastic. So here are the 2 jobs you can do, or 2 or 3 jobs you can do, and one of which was air report. Which when I heard about that, I was like, oh God, I don't really want to be a glorified UPS loading and unloading planes and that. And I want to go and do languages. I was really big on languages, especially in high school. So, but from that, even though it was nothing like I wanted to do, it was an amazing experience. And because I was an air reporter, I got to do so many things I would never have been able to do if I'd done some of the other career fields. So it's funny how these things happen sometimes.
Yeah, and the Port Dogs are a great community too.
They're a lot of fun.
They teach a lot about camaraderie, and if I'm looking on base, and where some of the great community pieces of it, like outside of the military is. I
don't think Chocks would survive if it wasn't for air reporters over there buying alcohol every single Saturday night. So we could keep that place alive. Oh, sorry,
staying hydrated.
Staying hydrated. Yeah, that's what we need. Staying hydrated.
Yes. So it's very big on our minds. As people staying hydrated. So you've done this. What do you think this does for your career? So, I think a lot of times people look at this and they say, I don't know, DNTF or first sergeant or, any of our special duties. And they're like, I've got to go out of my career field for a little bit. And then, what do you think this does for your career? And I know you're early in it.
I was 8 years. Is that early?
No, I'm saying
early in DNTF.
The DNTF,
yeah. So hopefully you're not going to fire me just yet. But whenever that day does come that you let me go, it's for me, a big part of the reason that I'm doing this job is to kind of get that leadership experience, to kind of show that I can hopefully somewhat it's like herding cats a little bit, but get the trainees where they need to be. But honestly, when I kind of took over this job, I wasn't really thinking about the next step in my career. I just knew that DNTF had been a great experience for me, and I wanted to kind of give a little bit of that back to the future ones coming in. So I don't know exactly what my next step is. I'm taking some language courses and that still. I'm hopefully going to go into the State Department after this.
You're taking an English course?
Yeah. So taking it.
If I say football, what comes to your mind?
Yes, the one that you play with a foot, you don't run around with. So
well, I didn't say football.
But yeah, it'll be. I don't know what that next step is exactly for me yet. but I know that because of the opportunities presented to me through the military, I've got those options. And that's something that I got to start planning for.
So how large is DNTF at its largest that you've seen so far?
So we were up to 43.
Okay,
at
so
one
43.
Point. Yeah.
Right. And how many other people are in charge of those individuals?
It's just me.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when I look at this and I look at the where does this take your career, right? Is I look at this and say, you have to plan an entire UTA. Chocked full. Because at any time I'll stop in over there or someone will stop in. And if we're sitting around playing on our phone, it's not a good sign.
No.
Right? You teach them facing movements. You get them ready for basic training. I want to have a distinguished graduate out of Grissom. Like
we have plenty. We were, at least when I was doing this job with Sergeant Everett, because I started in this as kind of his assistant, we were ranked number 3 at that point in the entire Air Force in number of
that was under
undergraduates.
Wes, Chief Marion.
Oh, okay, right. So,
I need to be number.
Now that COVID is hopefully going away, we're going to get them back
Marion,
up. Yeah.
I want to be at least 2 or 1.
Yeah, we're going to get it.
Right?
We'll get it.
Right.
Don't worry, Chief.
And that's, you should feel the same way about Sergeant Everett. Love him, but if there's a competition,
but I'm going to be
in it.
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
Right. That's right. So I look at that and I say, you have to plan for this. Yeah. You have to track them. And about how many trainees get hurt at UTA?
The number is hopefully 0, but unfortunately, it can.
It's usually about 1.
We have at least one who something will happen to,
because they're not used to working.
You got to remember the background of some of
these.
You've got everything from the quarterback of the high school football team to the guy who only ever did debate and stuff like that. And the Air Force needs every single kind of person, but sometimes it's a steep slope to get to that minimum level,
because you got to do physical fitness for the guy and gal that is getting ready to leave on Tuesday, and for the people that are going to leave a year from now that haven't done physical fitness ever, right? And so that's
some of those that we have to hold back, and we're like, listen, I know that you want to go to basic training right now. I know that you want to start on this amazing career, but I'm not going to let you go unless we know we are setting you up for success. And right now, I don't see you being successful at basic training. So we're going to hold you back for a few months. We're going to keep testing you. We've got the Strava run group that we use during the month to see how far we run and how much we're doing the exercising that during the month. And we're going to reevaluate this when I know that you're going to come out of there and serve this country the best that you can.
Yeah.
At the moment, you're not at your best.
Did you ever use UTEPs before you got into?
Oh my goodness! Thank goodness for Miss Santana.
Yeah,
because she's an absolute lifesaver. UTEPs is a
she's
real
a gem
pain.
of the space. Yeah, it's good. And so I look at these, and we got. I mean, you and I have talked about uniform stuff. We've tracked down COVID cases. We've tracked down people that are in tech school that tech school says, you know what, thanks but no thanks.
Right.
You know, and then what do we do with them? You know, people that have had, deaths in their family or children get sick or any of those things. And I look at all those things and I said, you know, if I'm looking at this, what it prepares you for is anything. I really feel like you can project from here to any position, whether that be back at the port, which I'm sure Chief Conley right now is like, Nate, shut up. Like, don't tell him he can do it.
Back. He left
the only thing that's really guides you to is the port. Yeah. He's like, but I love these development opportunities when people capitalize on them. And I think that's what the whole mission is there that you're doing is you just want airmen to capitalize on their career.
Yeah.
Whether it be 4 years, whether it be, 30 years, or, as Chief Scully was here and, you're
going to remember your time here no matter what the length of it was. And that you're going to remember it more the more you do.
Yeah.
Which is pretty incredible.
Josh, you got any questions for him?
One thing I do have just before you go in there is speaking of the kind of leadership for these trainees a little bit. Anybody who's listening, in March, we're going to be releasing these trainees to their units again. So sometime around lunch on a Saturday, you see some confused looking people in civilian clothes, hopefully marching over there in sync. Find one. Go, talk to one, start mentoring them. So
how would people that maybe, say, hey, I want to give back or I want to share my experience or, how do they go about it? Is it just contacting you?
Absolutely. So you can absolutely contact me. You can find me on the Global. But I think it's bigger than that as well. It's finding the trainees or the first time airmen who are in your unit. People are always saying, "Oh, why I can't find that leadership bullet? I can't find that." The mentorship just doesn't exist. There's no systems. Make the system. Be the person who starts that. Take that initiative and have somebody under your wing while you're under somebody else's.
Yeah, because I came over and spoke, and I didn't give there wasn't a command chief speech. It was a me talking about hypoxia, right, and how not to become hypoxic in life, and so man, I appreciate you. I think we want to have a little bit of fun. And so I don't know if we're going to do this like the password game or not, but I'll say a word in English and then you'll say a word in English.
In proper English. That's the,
I don't know.
We invented the language. You guys messed it up a little bit.
Mine is country, I guess, and yours would be English. But man, I can't tell you how much I appreciate having you on the team.
I really appreciate
being on your team. And, and I think there's times when you hire people and you don't know whether you got it right or not, but getting to spend some time with you outside of work, I realized that we did the right thing by hiring you. And so no offense to everyone else that applied, but, you're a good dude that just happens to be an airman. And so I always appreciate that.
Thanks, Chief.
I don't know how funny these will be. I did Google search for like a half hour trying to find which words do we say that are going to be funny when you say them.
So I'm going to say a word and you say it back and we'll see. And maybe hey, like you said, you can always edit that out.
I'll tell you what, if it's not funny, I just won't say it the British way. I'll just make something up.
Yeah.
So
right.
you won't know, right?
I know you got a lot of English accents. When you speak another language, do you speak it with?
It's funny. So I speak Turkish pretty well now. I went to a Turkish restaurant down in Indy like 2 nights ago. And I did find myself doing that, kind of switching into that Turkish accent a little bit. So yeah, it does happen a little bit. It's kind of fun.
I noticed when you're given cadence, you don't really have a British accent at all.
Well, I need to correct that then, because I need them coming out of basic training all having British accents.
That's right. All right, so let's think of a few words here. So how about vitamin?
Vitamin. So yeah, take your vitamins every morning.
Your vitamins, huh?
Yeah.
I think it's hard enough to get kids to do it if you try to say vitamins to them.
Then they're just going to laugh. Like,
they go,
what?
Say it again.
Vitamins.
All right. How about aluminum?
So aluminum is aluminium, but we do spell it differently as well. So we put an extra little U in there, which we do for a few different words. So it's one of those that's said differently. We say aluminium, but we also spell it differently as well.
Aluminium.
Yeah. In fact, for some reason, the Brits put a U in a lot of words that Americans don't. So we'll spell mum with M-U-M or colour with C-O-L-O-U-R. So yeah, we like the letter U for some reason. Or Americans hate the letter U. I don't know why.
Which is funny that we use U.S.
But we are UK. So that's
Just kidding. Sorry about that. What about privacy?
Privacy.
So do you do your Privacy Act training?
Privacy, yeah, I think I probably a little bit read on the Privacy Act training you should do. So.
Okay. What about schedule?
So that's a funny one. Depending on where you are in England, some say schedule and some say schedule. But
what is it?
Schedule.
I always just thought that was people making fun of like
I thought I had a list.
Country dudes. Yeah, like I was like
schedule. Yeah, it's not even schedule. It's schedule. Like it's 2 syllables instead of 3. It's a weird one. That.
What about have you ate yet? What do you say for 8?
Oh, we'd probably say eaten. Is that what it says on a thing there?
It just says et.
Et. Like don't know about that one so much. Edit that one out. That's not
a good one.
I don't edit anything.
What about the garage?
Garage. That's a big one. So that's one that.
Yes.
So there's.
Why are we laughing? We're so immature. We are so. Say it again.
You still have family in England.
Yeah.
So you know that as we laugh at you, they're laughing at us for saying this.
Doing us, yeah.
They're like, he said garage. Garage. Yeah. What an idiot.
They ended up. There's a few words that, because I've lived here for so long, I just say the American way. But then there's other ones that I'm like, no, I'm sticking to the British way. It's the right way of saying it, and garage is one of them. So I always say, because we operate out of the Army Reserve Centre, and we operate out of the garage in there. You go through the garage door to get in there. So that's still spelled the same as well.
Do the trainees look at you funny when you
they
say
that? They look at me funny for a multitude of reasons.
Well,
but
that's fair.
No offense to trainees. I feel like I'm saying no offense a lot today. This is when you bring out the worst in me. What about water?
Water. So I don't. Yeah, that's a funny one for Americans because they put a D in it, water instead of water.
Say that
it's
again.
spelled
Say
with
the American version of it.
The American water. I've been here for 17 years, and that's the best my American accent's going to get.
Yeah,
is water.
That's something you.
And that's one of those that I'll be at a restaurant.
There's the Texas accent.
I'll be at a restaurant or I'll be ordering through a drive-through or something like that, and I always say it the first time, can I get a cup of water, please? And it's one that I get like a blank stare. I'm like, oh, can I get a water, please?
It sounds so much. Do I sound like when I say water?
I'm just like that.
Yeah, we do say water.
You sounded just like that?
Water is a funny one, yeah.
I'm going to have to listen back to see.
We just don't say it as slow as that.
Yeah, water.
It's got a T in it. It's water.
Okay. Mobile.
I guess we'd say mobile.
Mobile phone.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say for the phone. So we don't call them cell phones, really. We call them mobile phones. So
you say they didn't call you on your mobile.
Or your mobile. Yeah, or you call it on your mobile. Yeah. So
on your cellular.
That's probably one that's a little older now. Like I think cell is taken over a little bit now.
So,
yeah. Okay, there you go.
Point taken. Thank you. What about advertisement?
Advertisement. Yeah.
Doesn't even have the same meaning anymore.
Say it again.
Yeah, advertisements. Yeah.
I like that I'm listening like in the mic, like it's going to come through.
That's one that we. So that's one that. We don't really call it, even on television. On the telly, we don't really call them.
On the what?
On the telly.
On the telly, we don't say that the commercial's coming up. It's like, oh, here's.
See, I wouldn't think the telly is like the mobile.
That's what I was thinking.
Okay, that's a little bit of a different one there. But and it's these things I've lived with for 17 years, and you kind of forget that you have an accent sometimes until you are very blatantly exposed over this. But is that the end of that list?
No.
Okay, so there's a couple others that I was going to show.
Yeah. But that's
a funny one. Yeah, advertisement. Or I'm making it up. I don't know. It could be.
Oh, we don't know.
You don't know.
We have no clue.
So yeah.
That's Nate Bergatti always says that. I feel like you're just saying that because I can't prove you wrong.
You can't know.
This is one that you and I have talked about. What about herbs?
What about herbs?
Yeah, like herbs.
like you say herbs. So it's what you would say herbs.
I don't know why anything that we say different, he says it really slow. Water.
No, yeah.
Herbs.
So that's it's got an H in it. So I've always been curious on this. I think I've asked him, what about the name Herbert? How would you say that?
I was just about to ask you.
How do you say it? I say it the same way, huh?
Herb.
Okay, so why do you use an H in that?
Listen,
but you don't use a H.
You're talking to the wrong person. I failed spelling in 4th grade, and it's not got any better. Because I was a kid growing up in America where they would say, "Hey, sound it out, sound the word out," and I'm like, "Right, phone. Okay, sound out that bad boy out."
No,
phone.
Yeah.
That was like F. They're like, "No, it's PH."
I've never understood the herb one because you say Herbert, and it's okay. It's okay for you to be wrong, but you got to be consistently wrong. Okay?
What about coupons?
Oh yeah, we say coupons. No, we don't really. Actually, I don't know what.
A lot of people in America say coupons.
Yeah, I don't know how I say that. You got me questioning how I say things myself now.
Yeah,
coupons probably.
So herbs,
and actually,
I'm gonna grow some herbs.
So it's not only the word herbs, but certain types of herbs we say differently, which are funny ones. So we say what you guys would say. You guys, other Americans like myself, with different accents, would say oregano. We would say oregano. Or they'd say basil, we'd say basil. So
basil.
Basil.
I'm glad you brought the Texas thing up before we started because now every time he tries to say it with our accent, it's the Texas accent.
Yeah.
I love that Texan accent though. Anytime I've met anybody from anywhere down south, it's my favorite accent in the world.
Josh is from down south of Indy.
And that's why I love Josh so much. So that's
I'm actually north of Indy, but whatever.
Disregard. That's what you don't like, Josh. What words like have you said and people are like, I think you have some still in the hip pocket where people are like, say that again?
So
like, what was that?
So the one that people find funny is banana. I'll say banana and they'll be like, wait, well, say it again. And it's like, oh, banana. That's So banana is definitely one of those. What else is there that's watery, but so like, especially if it's a water bottle instead of a water bottle. Like, it's they have those come up quite often. I'm trying to think any others that are like.
Do you ever go into like any
people try to get me to say Harry Potter a lot, which is so. Oh my God! Especially when I was in like middle and high school and it was really popular. It's like say Harry Potter. I was like Harry Potter.
Yeah. You do use the Texas accent a lot. You're pretty good at it too.
I am.
You
17 years.
Try to practice, like you go into restaurants and pretend like,
you know,
like when I'm on vacation, I try to talk to people with a British accent, and then halfway through, I'm like, I'm just kidding.
Well, my younger brother, I was about 9. He was about 7, or 8, 7 when he came over here. And they kind of say the magic age is like 7 when you come over to. If you move to a new place, if you're younger than 7, you're going to gain the accent of the place you've moved to. And if you're older than 7, you'll keep your original accent. And so he had an American accent, like within like a couple months of being here, it turned pure American, to the point that we couldn't understand him. So because we hadn't got the ear for the American accent yet, but he is now so good at switching back and forth. Whenever he works as a server, so he puts a British accent on, get better tips.
Yeah, that's right.
So when he needs to, he'll put that British accent back on. But then he can really easily just switch back into the American. And I wish I could do that.
So are you saying your brother uses his accent as a con?
We're British. We all do. Yeah. So we've just been fooling everybody for a millennia now.
They're still upset about that.
But no, it's because there's times. So 9 times out of 10, having a British accent in America is probably one of the best ones to have, because it's a naturally trusted one, I guess. For
I will tell you, backwoods Missouri is not a good one to have. Right. One of the last things we like to end on is, what are you loving? And so it can be anything. I'm sure you've listened to the podcast several times before.
Yeah.
But hopefully, anyways,
Wait,
since you work for me.
Before we started, he asked what the podcast was called.
That's right. That's right. Before we got on air.
So one of the big things that I've started, so I recently took over this job about 6 months ago, and I moved down to Indianapolis. Just wanted to kind of be in a bit more of a city, and just commute up. But for most of that time there, I felt like I wasn't getting involved in the community much. And it was a couple of weeks ago, or kind of over the December timeframe, when Colonel Pemberton was on leave for a while. Colonel Kuhn was the acting wing commander, and we had a good few conversations about his time with the American Red Cross. And over the course of that, he kind of convinced me to be a volunteer in that, and I've been doing it for a few weeks now. And I'm absolutely loving it. So
you did the blood drive. You kicked up the blood drive.
Yeah, we got the blood drive. By the way, we've got another blood drive coming up on the April UTA. So please tell your friends and come on down.
We normally don't allow people to do plugs.
That's it's different. He's got an accent. So
but for the Red Cross, I'm on the disaster response team. So it's mainly house fires, but we go down a bunch of other amazing volunteers who do way more than I do. But I kind of just go down and help out where I can with getting, whether it's getting new glasses, prescriptions, giving them access for a place to stay, giving them money, giving them resources, putting them into the system to get them in contact with other agencies and that. And it's such a feel-good activity, but also coming from some of the worst days of these people's lives. And at the end of it, they're trying to give you a hug, just saying thank you so much for what the Red Cross does. So go support the Red Cross, because they're awesome. Fantastic. Yeah. That's so awesome. Really, really loving that.
Now, you're also, if I remember, you're doing Big Brothers Big Sister? Maybe.
So I still might be doing a Big Brothers Big Sisters. Haven't been assigned to that yet. I am teaching down in Indy. That started now. So doing a bit of teaching down there.
Because you were a substitute teacher before.
I was a substitute teacher. I did some the teaching of kindergartners, which was insane.
So they probably come home saying weird words, and the family's like, "What kind of school are we sending you to?"
They're getting them all sorts of mixed up.
Advisements.
Mummy.
Do you mind if I borrow your mobile?
I keep thinking that when we're teaching the trainees, like the rank structure now, because they don't know the ranks, and that, I need to start teaching it as a lieutenant instead of like a lieutenant. Yeah, just to kind of confuse everyone when we go to basic training and that. But yeah, I feel like I'm finally getting a bit more involved in the community, and I think that's a huge something that makes you feel like you're moving forward in life. So some people find that in churches, and churches are fantastic church groups. Some people find it in just being with their family, and for me, it's getting involved in that in kind of any community events and stuff like that. You got to find your reason for being here.
Yeah. Josh, what are you loving?
Well, March is right around the corner.
Man, I even got a mustache for it, but
I know you started early.
Robin Olds right here.
That's so when it hits March 1st, like you've already.
No, I'll shave it again and then go again for March 1st. Leo will be happy to hear that.
But no, I am. I'm getting excited for March. It's my favorite time of year.
Basketball fan?
Yeah. We got a tournament going on. There's a real good chance you won't see me on a Thursday and Friday of the first round. I stayed home for that. I got 4 TVs that are ready to go. And so I'm looking forward to that. But I think what I'm loving right now is last week I had the opportunity to sit down with now retired Chief Bowden. And I really just enjoyed just having a conversation with him. I'm doing something for PA, writing a story, right? But whenever we're doing any sort of features or something, I love to let's take an hour for the interview. Instead of 15 minutes, I already have it made up in my mind how this story is going to go. I just need you to say a few things. I want to sit there and get to know you. And sitting there with him, it was interesting as you were talking about like, hey, I'm just going to do my 6 years, get the college money, get out. So just so you know, Chief Bowden just retired after 36 years, and he didn't even plan on doing 6 years. He planned on doing 4 and bouncing.
Yeah, that was me too.
So many come in like that.
I
did
know,
get out. I had a break in service after 4.
For how long?
About 10 days.
Yeah, right.
Imagine what the Air Force could have been.
Yeah.
There's somebody at Grissom right now like, oh, dang, I wish you would have stayed out. I wish you.
But I think it seems like that's most people's stories who have been in for so long that no one necessarily came in saying like, I am absolutely doing.
No, we didn't come in with this much patriotism unless you came in right around
9/11,
right. Or you came in around an event. Or I will say there's certain people that are like, man, I watched my grandfather served and he was the greatest man I ever knew.
Right.
Or my father or whatever, or my mother or my aunt or something, but most people come in for a different reason. And
one of the weirdest things to me at the moment is that with the trainees that I have, about a third of them were actually born after 9/11.
Yeah.
We've got 2002, 2003 babies who are coming in now in the same war that we're still fighting. And you're like, well, you weren't even alive when the event happened, the pivotal event. And yet you're still coming in to fight that battle.
Yeah. And it was it was a different military before that. It was just, every job was different. It was just geared differently.
But so having that conversation with him, and I think that's really, I guess maybe this week I've kind of just reflected on being able to have that opportunity with our job, where that is my job to sit down and get to know someone, know your story. And I know you didn't listen to it since you didn't know the name of the podcast before we started. But last month when we were talking with Colonel Wiltsey, and I mentioned the Tom Brady documentary. I'm talking to Chief Bowden about that, and I mentioned one of the things that Tom Brady had said in there, and it was about empowering those around you. And we have sat there and talked for an hour, and he goes, look over your left shoulder. And I look over my left shoulder. He's got a whiteboard there, and there's a quote on the whiteboard that said, leaders are successful not because of their power, but because of their ability to empower. And it's like, man, I just had this conversation.
Yeah.
Did you know I was about to say that and you wrote it on the board? Or
was it a quote from Tom Brady? Is that
it was not.
Right.
No, because his wasn't Brady's wasn't the exact same. But I know now I'm rambling on about this stuff.
No, it's fantastic.
It's just been.
And Tom Brady is American football, right?
Stop it. Okay. Stop it.
He played it for a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. Like, how old are you?
I'm 25.
Yeah, so the majority of your life.
Yeah, you would have been pre-kindergarten when he was started in the league.
Yeah, well,
Bowden was still a chief,
Super Bowl.
But Bowden was still a chief, but the rest of us are not in yet.
But I think I just loving the opportunity to be able to get to know people's stories, like as my job, and then get to craft that story in a certain way to tell it to other people.
Man, it's great. It is great, and we talk about that all the time. I talk about Simon Sinek talks. There's a whole section in the bookstore on self-help, but really there should be a whole section on help others. And because when you help others, when you learn about others, when you learn all those stories, and that's the thing, I think the biggest thing taken away from the DNTF is you're going to know all these stories. You're going to know all these stories and all these people that are disadvantaged that are showing up here. And then those of us that have lived a pretty privileged life to say, I joke around about that all the time, is when we're, frustrated about something, I'm like, man, we got some serious first world problems going on here.
Yeah. I think back to my time when I was in DNTF and I was 17 years old. And like I said before, I came in because I was an angsty teenager who wanted to just get out of his house. And I was like, oh, woe is me.
Yeah.
But meeting some of the trainees we have now, and it's not even the young trainees, it's the ones who are 38, 39 years old who are coming in because they want something different in their lives. They want to serve the country.
Or even something as crazy that we take advantage of every day is, like, I think our Iraqi, the first generation married from Iraq, is her family fled Iraq because they were Christians and they were being persecuted. And so something that we think about, you know, do I want to go to church? Yeah, you know what? It's kind of rainy, or, you know, we have that luxury. They were willing to uproot their family and change countries.
It's incredible.
And probably face a lot of things just for that freedom. And so I guess that, you know, for me, that's the biggest piece is I talk about this. I gave a speech at Veterans Day at my high school. And I talked about, you know, in 2012, we watched this group of Afghanis, and they were training up these kids anywhere from about 7, 11, right in there, to like 20. And they were training them. And they were doing physical training, and they were teaching them how to read maps, and they were doing all this stuff. And so as surveillance, we were watching these people. And so we watched them, and we couldn't figure out what they were training for. Like, was this like a mini training camp, terrorist training camp? You know, what was this? So they were training their kids to make this 4,000-mile trek out of Afghanistan, across all these countries, just to get to Europe, so that their kids have a chance at freedom. Freedom, like just for the opportunity. So they look at this 4,000-mile journey and they say, listen, if you get sick, they're going to leave you behind and you're going to die. If you get captured or you get stopped before you get out of Afghanistan, chances are you're going to die. There's several other countries that if you get caught in there, you're going to die or you're going to become a prisoner, right? And there's all of these chances. Most of them lost some kind of digit or something like that because of frostbite and everything else, crossing like 3 mountain ranges, all this stuff. And they were like, but it's worth it if you can experience freedom. And I think, man, we take advantage of that.
And don't throw away that gift that we've been given.
Yeah. And so I look at that and I think sometimes our first generation airmen, they'd see the gift that freedom is. And they just want to be a part of giving it to someone else. And that's the opportunity we get here as 1% of the population, is we get to give the gift to say, you know what? I helped ensure that my kids will have freedom. And it'd be my kids' job to help ensure that their kids enjoy this freedom. So, man, I appreciate what you do. I will tell you, for me, there's a lot of things going on right now that I'm loving. We're in the middle of wrestling season, so my youngest is wrestling.
You went last night, right? How did you do last night?
So he's had 6 matches in the last 2 days, and he's actually undefeated right now. He's a 7th grader, so it's not that big a deal yet. So super proud of him. You know, he's only been wrestling for a year, but he's doing well. My mom is in town. So you guys both got to meet my mom earlier.
Yeah,
so
fantastic.
I was going to have her come in here and let you guys ask her some questions, but
your mom is exactly if you're at home trying to picture what Chief Parks' mum looks like, it's exactly what you'd picture Chief Parks' mum looks like, with the matching earrings and sweater and just a fantastic like Indiana woman. Yeah,
like everything else, everybody's like, is he adopted? He's nothing like you. Is he?
And she doesn't deny it.
She doesn't say no. Yeah. I will tell you that. She's like, we don't know. It was in the 70s was a rough time for all of us.
But I really appreciate Chief. And that's the one thing I was going to say as well, is that for anybody who is the trainees or anyone who else is listening, who's going to be here on a March UTA, if you don't know what your purpose is for being here, they're doing a mentorship mingle that Sergeant Tromber and Sergeant Moder are running over lunchtime. So there's no excuse not to go. Find Sergeant Tromber, find your first sergeant, find me, find anybody, and don't leave the March UTA without knowing your reason for being here. Yeah. Because if you look back in 20 years from now, it's some pretty incredible opportunities out there.
Yeah, so that's probably the thing that I'm loving the most. The reason why I'm growing this mustache really is to intimidate people, because I'm going to the OAY board, and so the Outstanding Airman of the Year. And I am loving, and I know that there's some thrash that goes on with putting together these packages, but we have some
outstanding airmen doing outstanding things on this base. And it is just a privilege and an honor to get to go represent them, to fight with other command chiefs on why the Grissom airmen are better than theirs.
Yeah.
You know, and again, hence the mustache, right? These are dirty tactics that I'm using. But it's such an honor to get to see that and to get to be a part of that and to know that, you know, it starts with you, but it's all of our responsibility is to get people there and to, you know, when they're having an off day, it's time for us to step up and have an on day so that they, you know, continue to serve alongside of us and bring them along.
And it starts with that first level supervisor.
Yep. Appreciate you. Anything when people see you out marching, I would encourage you to stop and listen, because they do neat little jodies that have a little bit of a British flair to them. But also, it's a lot of fun, and I think we're going to try to get that showcased in March, maybe. But
if anyone's out there who wants to come and march with us, we're always looking for people. Just come and show them what it's all about.
March and March.
March and fantastic! I didn't even think of that.
Competition.
Yeah. March and March.
So maybe we'll do that next year. So a March into March. But thanks a lot.
Thanks so much, Chief.
All right. Hopefully you saw that as brilliant, and maybe you sat back and had a glass of water.
Or water.
Or maybe a spot of tea to go with this podcast. So amazing individual. Again, just another one that's awesome. That another person that we get to talk to that's just awesome here. Well, one of the recaps here is just we continue to hear that we don't utilize the resources that are out there. There's so many things that you earn by being a military member or military family. Utilize those things. Get ready for the next opportunity. Be ready when something presents itself to where you can say yes to that. You don't have to say, well, hold on a second, let me prepare. And then somebody else is ready for the yes. So a big part of that, and I think Jordi talks about it there, and when we talk about finding mentors, is find a good mentor. Find someone who's going to give you good, sage advice. If someone's telling you right now with everything that's going on, hey, pull all your money out of the bank and go do something, hey, that's probably not a good mentor. Like, let's find a mentor that gets you ready for the next chapter in your life, that gets you ready for whatever may come your way. And as always, man, we're huge on it around here, is let's remember why we serve. And let's try to grow patriotism. And we do that by finding the value, what other people value. We find those things and we point them in those directions. And so let's grow some patriotism this UTA. We look forward to seeing you out there at all these different events. As always, Josh, thanks a lot for doing this and putting it together. And if you've got ideas or something, when you see Josh and I walking around the commander's call or anything like that, please let us know. We're so proud to be a part of your team. Have a great UTA.